Hello, beautiful friends. Thanks for tuning in. It's been quite a crazy, ecliptic week, I would say. I'm sure we're all feeling it in one way or another. Lots of really palpable contraction and expansion. And of course, shifting and challenges and breakthroughs and all these kinds of things often are very intensified during these eclipse portals. So I just want to pop in with some of the things that I've been feeling and realizing, and hopefully it's helpful to you. You know, you're not alone. You're not crazy. This is the event. We are the event. You know, ascension isn't a new idea. This is something the ancients have spoke of. We're climbing the ladder. You know, it's a fractal. We're always climbing higher and higher versions of ourselves. And so is humanity. In its funny and unpredictable way. So, if you are feeling these challenges, just know again, you're not alone, and the deeper the challenge, the more worthwhile the breakthrough will be, and you will always break through. Something I've been noticing, and I've been noticing this for a while, but it's also intensified now, is just how much subtle things, you know, if I had to give this eclipse so far a catchphrase, I'd say it's as subtle as it is intense, which is such a funny energy because it's so like beyond in your face. It's just so in your reality and your perception, and yet it's so like it almost escapes me. It just seems normal. I don't know if that makes sense. And it's just lots of different, I'm just picking up on lots of different energies, and it's kind of hard to make out really any specific one. But I have noticed that all these more subtle things, behaviors, limiting beliefs, ego loops, things that are not as heavy and dense as other things, and yet they affect my perception on a low level every single day. And I realize that these are things that are just as meaningful to observe and transmute, if not more, because they have a huge effect on perception. And they can be another aspect of self-sabotaging programs if you're not aware. So if you're having any things like this, just remember it's coming up for a reason, you know. And it's not because something's wrong with you or you should punish yourself, because that's the ego. That's the ego wanting to loop on itself, because everything in the ego, it's never good enough. It always needs fixed. It always needs changed. Literally, it could be paradise and the ego would find something to be lacking in. You know, that's why we're teaching the ego to ascend, teaching the ego to come into the heart. That's been a huge theme for me recently, again and again, and it really is so helpful. Literally, physically bringing the ego into the heart. Because I don't like to demonize the ego, you know. That being said, though, whatever's coming up is coming up for a reason. And again, like I was saying, it's not because you need to be punished or because you're doing something wrong or because you're not worthy. It's because, again, these are those subtle or maybe for some heavy, depending on where you're at. You know, no right or wrong. We're all in different, you know, stories, different levels, different paths. Because this is always the case. Whatever is being revealed to you right now, whether it's internally or externally, these things that are bubbling to the surface now, it's an opportunity for your expansion. And when you're in the middle of the challenge, I know it can be hard to see. So just keep going. You will break through. You will. Again, the more challenging it is, the more worthwhile it's going to be. And sometimes this really isn't even so much yours as it is the collective's. So remember, you don't have to take it so personally. But actually, nothing here is personal. Again, that's the ego. The ego wants to take everything personally. And you can really get stuck on that because it can really hurt you. Like the ego will really try to back the self into a corner. And oftentimes, we are apt to unconsciously people please the ego. Like, oh yeah, like I shouldn't challenge that. Like I shouldn't say anything. I shouldn't do that. That's just programmed. Because we have this program of fear that if we do something out of the norm, whether in society or just in our own self, if we break some kind of habit or break some kind of paradigm, the ego tries to make you feel like something bad is going to happen to you. That's fear. That's playing with fear. And again, you can see how this is really subtle a lot of the times. The veil is lifting, so it's getting louder. All these things are continuing to get louder. We are just in this chapter right now where we're clearing. Because there's a lot to clear. And if you know our history, you know why that is. There's a lot to clear. But the more you do this, the better it gets. The more used to you get, the more of a master you become. So no fear there. From my experience, the best thing you can really do in these situations, and how I've been working with it at least, is when these things arise, can you begin to notice the conflict? Notice the conflict on the ego level. And again, it might be subtle. I don't know. That's just what I've been noticing is like things that have been very subtle. And a lot of it for me is the collective, and some of it's me. Some of it, I don't know really where it's coming from, but I see it. Random maybe behaviors or insecurities, just like these limiting beliefs that I used to think didn't really affect me. Now suddenly are just like, I'm immersed in this reality and I have to figure it out. and really, I just have to transmute it. And that's really what I'm getting to is when you try to fix the ego from the ego, you're looping. The loop goes on and on and on. Because again, the ego is always trying to fix things. It's never good enough. And you can loop in this for such a long time, no matter, what it is you might be dealing with. This self-sabotaging process of, I want to feel this abundance, I want to feel this health, I want to feel this lack. And then that internal conflict of, I can't do that. Like, I want it, I can't, I want it, I can't. These subtle programs that go on, maybe on a daily basis. We all have areas that come easy for us, and we all have areas that are more challenging for whatever reason. There's nothing wrong with you. We all have this. And again, whatever's coming up is coming up for a reason, because you're about to catapult. The eclipses are amazing. I can't thank it enough for these energies, even though I know they're so intense. And sometimes they really can catapult you out of your comfort zone. Or really just huge shifts can happen. And we don't really always like change. But it always really catapults you forward. These eclipses. Take heed, because these eclipses are always amazing opportunities, individually and collectively. So whatever you're, either struggling with or longing for or confused about, it's coming up for a reason. And you're about to have a massive breakthrough and catapult when you begin to recognize and observe it from a higher perspective. Just look at it. What's coming up? Whatever's coming up. If you resonate with this message, if this message is for you, what's coming up? And can you begin to bring it into the heart? Bring it into the heart. And this is really the key piece. Because again, you can loop in that ego for a long, long time. And what you're looping in the ego when there's a conflict. Because the ego just loves, the solar plexus, the stomach, you can feel it in your gut. It's a physical energy. These are kinds of emotions of fighting and conflict within yourself. It's really helpful, I've found, that whenever you're feeling that energy, and you know when you're feeling, can you observe it from a neutral place without judging it, without judging yourself? Because those energies, even though they can be stingy and like painful, they're almost just like a scared dog that's like barking and snarling. It's like it just needs love. Can you hold that for yourself? That these aspects of you, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with what you're feeling. It just needs love. It just needs love. But the ego doesn't understand that. The ego wants to force. The ego wants to fix. The ego wants to persecute. The ego wants to judge. The ego wants a problem so it can solve the problem and then create more problems and keep, in this loop of creating more problems and solving them and then creating more problems. Again, when you truly observe these things and make the conscious choice to break these loops, and it's so powerful. Whether it's the heavy stuff that's huge or the subtle things, they're both really important. Can you begin to physically, literally bring it into your heart? Breathe it into your heart. Breathe it out of the heart. The heart is the center of transmutation. I invite you to try this because it's truly so powerful. There's some kind of saying, you can't get there from here. I don't know why that's coming up, but it's like, you can't get here from here. The ego will keep you looping forever until you climb that ladder. Again, ascension, where there's so many different levels of ascending. We're always climbing that ladder to our higher self. It's that lower self that wants to fight. You bring that conflict into the heart, and it's like those conflicts suddenly seem so irrelevant. And it's something you really just have to experience. Whatever it may be, whatever may be coming up for you. Again, it's not a coincidence. And as many times as you need to do this, literally physically bring it into your heart. Like, come back into the body and the breath, out of the mind, into the heart. And it's simple. Don't overthink it, because the mind will overthink it. Like, how do I come into the heart? Just feel it. Just feel it. It's simple. It's simple, natural, easy. Everyone can do this. Come back into the heart and literally just breathe it through. And the more you do this, the more you'll start to feel that conflict just be resolved, And again, in this eclipse portal, it's such a magnetic energy where you will be amazed at how fast you can transmute these things. These subtle, low-level things that maybe you've been carrying around your whole life can suddenly be transmuted in the heart. Suddenly all these superficial things just dissolve. It's like you didn't even fix it. It just dissolved. And your higher self came through and shined a light upon it. And you remember that, of course, you're a creator. Of course, you're worthy. Of course, you can have these things. Of course, you're worthy of love, abundance, freedom, health, prosperity, sovereignty. Everything. The universe wants what you want. The universe, wants you to be happy. God is so much more ready to give you everything than we are often ready to allow ourselves to just receive. There's been many times in my life where I've had to come back to the heart, and this has definitely been one of them, because we have our own cycles, our own processes, It's and that's the ego again. The ego just wants to go to the destination and be done with it, but that's not really why we're here. We're on a continuous journey. It is like a spiral. You come back to things you knew on a whole new level. And truly, the heart is the transmutation. Any clairvoyant abilities, any creative abilities, any gifts you want to share with others, or just for yourself, when you can pull this energy through the heart, you'll be amazed at what you can activate, and you keep climbing that ladder. You keep going up that ascension. It's truly amazing. So I hope that's helpful. I didn't want to keep this short because I feel a lot of stillness and silence right now, a lot of peace to the point where it's just, I don't want to say surprising, but just kind of like, wow. And I noticed a palpable changes in the vibration because so many things, like going to meditate, and it's like there's like these certain like radio stations, if you will, I'm used to tuning into consciously in my vibration that just are changed. Like the energy just changed, the energy just shifted, and now it's like I'm already in those states. When I meditate now, it's like I can go even higher. So really amazing times we're in. I hope this is helpful. I hope this is practical. Just again, in conclusion of, if you're going through any of these challenges right now, there's a reason you're going through them, and again, you're not being punished. This is the opportunity for you to catapult into those things that you've been wanting to experience, into that higher, again, ascension. I know that's kind of a buzzword right now, but that's really just what it is, our evolution, consciously stepping into and taking heed to the new consciousness that is upon our planet. It's such a blessing. And again, everything you're going through is for a reason, not only to help you out, but also for when the now moment comes, for you to be a leader for others, if you're not already, more and more. We are the pioneers. There's so many things. I get this feeling every now and then, and it just is so beautiful. There's so many things that will unravel. And I don't even know. I'm not even saying I know how, but there's so many things that will unravel in the future that will just be so, what's the word? Vindicative, if that's the word. So worthwhile, things that will just make so much sense of, oh, this is why we had to go through that. Individually and collectively, I know there's still times, like especially last year, it was just really intense when it all really started breaking down. Just like, why is humanity like this? And I think we're going to come to find more and more and more. And many miracles to come, So again, I hope this is helpful to observe those things and start bringing them into the heart. Start shining a light of love on those things. Can you love yourself without judgment? Can you have that compassion for yourself without making it right or wrong in this duality? It's not black or white. And when you can truly love these parts of yourself and bring yourself out of this internal conflict into the heart, as far as I know, that's really the only way. The only way is up. The only way is through the heart, through this transformer, to transform that conflict into gold, into wisdom, into teachings. And not only that, that's worth it alone, but that's when you can really start having these experiences you want to have, because you get rid of this smudge in your energy field that's just been sticking around, weighing you down. We're shifting into the light. We're clearing these things. And it will catapult you. So be ready for that. It's very exciting. It's very beautiful. And if you're in the middle of it right now, let this be encouragement then to you. Every time, again, the most challenging things are when you have the biggest breakthroughs. All right. I love you guys so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for everything. Thank you for all of your kind, loving support and encouragement. It really means so much to me. And it's so wonderful to connect with so many beautiful beings. It's just an honor. And it's only the beginning. It's only the beginning. And God bless all of you. Happy Eclipse. Thank you.